Hello everyone, my name is Stefano Ruffini. I'm the rapporteur of question 13 in study group 15. Together with Lee Cosart, who is associate rapporteur of the group, we have prepared an update on study group 15 and question 13, that is the group responsible for network synchronization and time distribution performance in ITT. This is a periodic update that we provide to this event, and the reason is that there is a very important cooperation between question 13 and WSTS with several of the participants in question 13 who are also members of the steering group of WSTS. Study Group 15 in ITT is the focal point for the development of standards on networks, technologies, and infrastructures for transport, access, and home. And this includes development of related standards for the customer premises, access, metropolitan, and long-haul sections of the communication networks. Particular consideration is given to the evolving needs of mobile networks for the transport in this segment of the networks. And one point to mention is also that this is probably the largest and more productive group in ITT. The study group is structured into three working parties. Working party 1 dealing with the transport aspects of access, home, and smart grid networks. Working Party 2 dealing with the optical technologies and physical infrastructures. And finally, Working Party 3 responsible for the transport network characteristics. And this is where you will see in this presentation synchronization is also addressed. As you can see from this summary, in Working Party 3, in fact, there are various aspects that are addressed, such as the transport and synchronization to support 5G fronthaul and backhaul, or architectures and other transport SDN aspects, and new transport technologies such as the Metro Transport Network, MTN. Important to mention also the management aspects of control and transport planes, including also management for synchronization with the information model for synchronization. And as you will see in the following slides, there are various groups that are dealing with each of these aspects, including synchronization. So this is the full list of the groups called questions that are addressing various points in study group 15. And you see at the bottom of this list those questions that are part of Working Party 3. In particular, question 13 is, as I mentioned, the group that is dealing with the network synchronization and time distribution performance. And there is a good cooperation between all the questions because synchronization is an important aspect, for instance, as related to management. So there is an ongoing cooperation with question 14 for the management of synchronization, of course with other groups whenever synchronization is addressed, such as question 11 in defining OTN or MTN. Also synchronization has to be considered as is part of the functions that are supported by these transport networks. But there are other groups like question 6 that is dealing with optical technologies that also have some impact in terms of synchronization, because optical interfaces may add some time error, and due to that there is also some ongoing discussions with question 13. The outputs from question 13 are in a form of various type of documents. In particular, recommendations are those providing the normative aspects related to synchronization. And as you can see, some of these, you see at the top of this list, have a long history They are related to SDH from the 90s. Some of them are still used. In particular, G.A10 provides some fundamental definitions and principles related to synchronization, but also G.811 that is specifying the performance of a primary reference clock, of course, is still very much important in current networks. Over the time, several other recommendations have been delivered by Q13, in particular related to network requirements, clocks, and PTP profiles for the distribution of synchronization over various types of networks. Can be found into the G.827X series related to time synchronization and G.826X series for frequency synchronization. In addition, there are some informative type of documents, in particular supplements that address various aspects such as the synchronization OEM requirements or other aspects related to something that we just started to investigate, synchronization solutions for data centers. There are also technical reports, to mention one that was delivered a few years ago related to the use of GNSS in telecom networks, and a new one that is just started about the optical clocks. The group continues to be very active. As example of recent releases from the group, I can mention that ITT recommendation G.8275 that was dealing with time synchronization architecture and options for PTP profiles has been recently split into two recommendations. G.8275 that continues to deal with the PTP common functions, while a new recommendation, G.8274, is now dealing with this, focusing on synchronization architectures. I can also mention as related to PTP profiles that these are continuously being enhanced with the new options and new functions. For instance, as an example, recently the option to define a way to restore parameters in the PTP profile has been included in G.8275.1 and G.8275.2. One of the most important results from recent activities of the group is the recent involvement in defining solutions and requirements for synchronization in data centers. Synchronization is now a very important aspect for data centers, for instance, to control power consumption, to enhance performance in data centers, especially for artificial intelligent clouds. And recently, supplement 92, synchronization for data centers, has been released. It basically defines extensions of ITT sync frameworks that can be applied to data centers. And this work is done in cooperation with other groups that are also addressing aspects important for data centers, as in particular IEEE that is working at the new protocols that can be used in data centers. Other groups that are cooperating with ITT, I can mention, is the Open Compute project. In this slide, you can find examples of the contents of the supplement 92 I just mentioned on data centers. You can see target performance requirements in the networks that are very similar to what already defined for telecom networks in the range of a few hundred nanoseconds to 5 microseconds, depending on the application. And also in this supplement, you can find reference models that can be used to define where requirements applies. So in particular, you can see here the requirements could apply at the hardware level, at the output of the NIC card clock. As well, it's important also to define performance requirements at the application level. That is, in particular, the timing that is used by the software application. A few examples also on the ongoing activities that are particularly relevant to enhance synchronization solutions in terms of performance. As an example, defining possible improvements of the performance of partial timing support solutions. So when there are segments of the network that cannot be upgraded to support the processing of a PTP, in this case, it's important to control asymmetries and packet delay variation. And there is an ongoing work item to study what aspects can be improved. As an example, increasing the packet rate. To increase the robustness of the synchronization solutions, also there are continuous updates to the monitoring aspects, in particular now to define ways to monitor the performance of GNSS references. Another important aspect is related to resiliency, and I will mention something more in the next slide. Increase of resiliency is actually not a new topic for ITT. It has always been an important requirement in telecom. But what is relatively new is the concerns on the GNSS vulnerability. As we know, the GNSS is a very important reference in time synchronization networks and very widely deployed, but it is also vulnerable in the sense that it's possible to jam or spoof the GNSS reference. So there are various groups that are now working at addressing these concerns, and from question 13 aspects in terms of increasing robustness and redundancy in synchronization solutions has been more and more important, in particular increasing the holdover characteristics or at the architectural level to define duplication of the references. This work is also being done looking at what is being defined by IEEE in a new project P1952 that is defining resiliency levels against attacks against GNSS. And in 1952, various levels of resiliency have been defined from the lowest level, where it is important just to detect that there is an attack, through more and more, let's say, robust levels to resist and to be able to continue working even when there is such an attack. And the work that is being done in question 13, in particular, addressing G.8274, is to map the various synchronization solutions that have been defined by question 13 into the various levels of resiliency. And the intention is to include this mapping into a future release of G.8274. To conclude, the main message is that synchronization, as we have seen in ITT, continues to be a fundamental function in the evolution of networks. And question 13 is continuing to work to address the challenges and the future evolution of technologies. In particular, as I mentioned, looking at the increased resiliency with solutions adding monitoring, holdover, security, and so on. Also looking at the new requirements that will come from, for instance, mobile networks. In the evolution of 5G towards 6G, there will probably be new requirements that we have to look at. supporting the connected applications like industrial automation or data centers, but also looking at new applications that can present very stringent timing requirements, like related to quantum key distribution is one of the examples that we have recently seen. And we also are looking at investigating new technologies such as I mentioned before, there is a new work item on optical clocks. So we are at the end of this presentation. As part of the material, you can find more details, in particular also some links to ITUT and question 13 in particular. So if you see an interest to contribute and participate in the related activities, you can find the contacts in the backup slides. So I would like to thank you for your attention, and I hope you have found this of interest. Thank you.